is Jason J. Rock Houston, and you're listening to Chaotic Riffs Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.chaoticriffs.com. And our special guest tonight is a longtime friend of the show, Seann Nicols. Last time we talked to Seann was about a year ago, and he was with the band Westfield Massacre. And Seann let me in a little exclusive here when we were setting up the interview through an email the other day. He's mentioning to me that he's involved with a lot of new things he wants to share with us, and Westfield Massacre is kind of no longer together, and he wants to kind of talk about all that and let us know what he's currently up to. So, no further ado, Seann Nicols, why don't you start the interview off telling us kind of what happened with Westfield Massacre?
Hey, Jason, how you doing, man? It's good to be here.
Doing great. Always great to talk to you, my friend.
Cool, man. Yeah, well, Westfield's been defunct now for several months. I'd say, gosh, maybe 8 months now, maybe going on a year. We put the record out late 2018.
Yeah.
And it was just an awesome ramp up to the release. Things were going really well. I mean, I was really proud of the record that we made together.
Yeah.
And, in terms of the songs, the production, the packaging, the promotion, even the initial sales, I mean, everything was lined up for success.
Mm-hmm.
We put the album out. It was it hit #1 on Billboard's Pacific Heat Seeker chart.
Mm-hmm.
And we hit number 27 on Billboard's indie album sales chart.
Yeah,
So
wow.
That was all genres, nationwide. I mean, it was an awesome release, and it's just unfortunate that there was really no way forward for the band.
It's kind of amazing. I mean, those are really great numbers, especially for a relatively new band. And the band had been before you'd actually joined the band. They've been around for a number of years, but the band really seemed to start getting a lot more attention after you joined the band. And like you said, once the CD dropped, people were really, you guys were getting a lot of great PR. And it's kind of funny that you mentioned to me the other day about the band splitting up and no longer being together. And I just, so at that point I said, I'm going to go on the Facebook page, just kind of see. And yeah, you kind of noticed that, they haven't really posted anything on here since, sometime in 2018, early in the year. And I'm kind of thinking, now that you told me this, I was kind of curious, why is the band not really kind of made an official announcement? Is that something you guys plan to do, or did it just kind of literally fall apart?
I think that overall we decided not to make it a big thing, like Westfield Massacre is broken up.
Yeah.
We didn't want to make that a big public announcement.
Yeah.
I think everyone was kind of waiting around for the possibility that there might be a spark somewhere down the line that, hey, maybe there is a reason to pursue this.
Yeah.
But that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of reasons why it didn't happen. I mean, initially I don't even know where to start really, but it felt like basically, look, like when Bad Wolves broke out with their cover of Zombie by the Cranberries, it's blowing up all over radio and stuff.
Yeah.
The guys in Westfield, they really felt strongly that there would be some tailwind hype for them to ride on, being Tommy Veck's old band. And I was under the impression that they had a lot more support in the industry.
Yeah.
So when I joined the band initially, I was just kind of like along for the ride. I'm like, you guys are established. You guys have done some touring already. You guys have a great first record. And they seem to have a pretty clear idea of where they were going. So I just kind of stood back and, let it unfold. But what I finally came to realize was that Tommy was really driving the band in terms of their previous successes, and they didn't really know what to do without it,
Oddly enough,
after standing back and kind of watching the guys, make one rookie decision after another, I finally started, stepping in to assume some more control in the band and start leading the band toward a more, definitive path. It just, and I think that we succeeded ultimately, but there was just so much animosity toward Tommy, and how could he do this to us? How could he leave us? And look at how successful his band is, and that should be us. And I had a hard time steering those guys to focus on what we had as a band. It was hard. I mean, the way the politics played out is that nobody in the industry that was supporting Tommy or Bad Wolves was going to support Westfield.
Wow.
Because it would have alienated them from their crew that was obviously doing very well.
Uh-huh.
And I was actually contacted directly by some of the biggest names in the industry.
Wow.
And it was basically a no-go. It's like, no, you're not going to do this. Like,
wow.
This is Tommy's moment. This is Bad Wolf. You're not going to, ride in and take any of that limelight. It was all, locked up.
Yeah, that's a great point you make, because one of the things I've observed over the course of the band since you joined up with them was, like we'd already kind of said, you just stated there, Westfield Massacre was already kind of an established band prior to you joining, and I do think the fan base got a little bigger with you joining the band. And it's not to say that they didn't have their own fans to begin with, but most times when a lead singer or one of the main guys leaves a band, one of the other original members will kind of take over the reins of the band. It's okay, it's my band now. I'm the guy that's going to be the leader of the band. I thought it was interesting that here you are, the new guy coming into the band, and besides having the frontman and lead singer role, a lot of the responsibilities, as you said, kind of just seem to fall on your shoulders. Which I don't know how you felt about that, but were you kind of surprised that they kind of gave you so much responsibility instead of one of them saying, okay, it's my band now, I'm going to take over the control of the band?
That's an interesting topic. I mean, it didn't happen like that at all.
No, but I mean, from an outsider...
The hardest part was that they really didn't want to give me the control, And I honestly didn't want it.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought.
But once I realized that they didn't really have a game plan, I started stepping in more and more to help guide the process along, and it was a double-edged sword, because on one hand, they appreciated when I'd make things happen, when I'd line up a producer or, line up some press or get some things happening for the band, but they were also, like, they resented the interference. It was almost like I was getting in the way of it's like, why is Seann getting so involved? Why is Seann doing this? Why is Seann calling all the shots now? And I never wanted it to be that way. It just
ended up that way. Yeah.
It ended up that way, and every step became a political battle about whose idea would win out to move the band forward. And I really wanted to let the guys just make the decisions, but after some point, I just started to realize, like, they don't really know what they're doing. So I had to step in and make sure that they didn't steer it off a cliff.
Yeah. Again, do you think they realize, with a guy of your caliber joining the band, again, not to take any away from their own talents or what they'd already established, but do you think by getting Seann Nicols to join the band at that time, do you think they even realized that you had your own little fan base that you kind of brought with you to the band?
I don't think that they gave me enough credit for what I had done previously in the industry. Those guys were pretty young and from kind of a different scene. A lot of them, actually all of them had relocated to LA from other places. And it was just crazy, because from the time I joined the band to the very end, there was just so much anger and resentment and jealousy toward Tommy. And they could never let that go. It just kept going and going. But by the end, oddly enough, they had turned all those negative feelings against me.
Wow.
And it was sad, because I really went out of my way to help them be successful. And it's just crazy. I feel that nobody wanted to fess up to the failure of the situation that they were feeling. They needed somebody to blame it on, and I guess I was an easy target. But at the end of it all, I don't really think they realize how big of an opportunity they may have wasted. Probably the biggest mistake, and this was one I called early on, was not changing the name of the band.
I would kind of agree with that. It's kind of like, as great of a singer as John Corabi is when he was in Motley Crue, and even Nicky Sixx kind of admitted to this since then, that I like that album, don't get me wrong, but you put that on,
it's a good album.
It's not a Motley Crue album, but I think it would have been a lot more successful if they'd called it anything else but Motley Crue.
And they probably could have had a successful side project with Corabi singing, and they probably could have gone up and done some touring and maybe even put out a few albums on the side. And done very well with it. But when they tried to cash in and brand it as Motley Crue, then they lost out because the fan base is like, this is not Motley Crue.
And see, that's what's funny about Westfield Massacre, and from the time you joined the band, because a lot of people who followed you, Seann, over the years, through your mini bands, like, I mean, going all the way back to Adler's Appetite, you had your solo band Tarsha for a while. Of course, you had the brief stints in Quiet Riot, and then Bob Blotcher's Rat. And I bring this all up because the one thing you should not regret about joining Westfield Massacre, I think that you have a lot of haters out there. For example, when you were Quiet Riot for a brief time, and you did the few shows of Bobby Blotcher's Rat, you had a lot of people saying, "Oh, okay, this guy's a pretty decent singer, but he's in all these bands. He's like a cover singer, just singing other people's material." And I think the great thing about Westfield Massacre is it finally put that stuff to bed, because for the simple fact, not only did you just have such a huge influence on the sound of Westfield Massacre, you were so involved in the writing and everything, but it finally proved to people, because if you listen to Westfield Massacre, first of all, people think they're going to hear anything like Quiet Riot or Rat. It sounds nothing like that stuff. So first of all, you're quite capable writing and singing original material, and if people think that's all you could do is sing other people's material, with this album, you proved, hey, there's more to Seann Nicols than what you think,
Yeah, thank you, Jason. I appreciate that, and I think that in that way, we helped each other out in the band. I had a lot of experience and had been in these other bands, like as you just mentioned, that I was singing other people's songs, and we're talking about legendary catalogs, songs that the whole world has heard, and I've got to step in and stay somewhat true to the original and try to bring something original to it, but there's not so much that you can really bring to the Guns N' Roses catalog, or Quiet Riot, or Rat. I mean, these are songs that they're good the way they are. I mean, there's not a whole lot of interpretation to do, or there's not a whole lot of an opportunity to really show your originality as a singer if you're stepping in to fill that role. So with Westfield, it was an opportunity to show more of my creative capabilities and to step into a different style of music and a heavier genre with a lot of different inflection and style. And it was a cool project all the way around. I was really enamored by the sound and everything that was going on, and so it was an opportunity for me like that to show my creative side, and it was an opportunity for them to work with someone who was established that could actually get the music out there. And I think at the end of it all, we succeeded in that. We made a great record. We put it out. We charted on Billboard. We sold a shitload of CDs and downloads and streams. I think we got close to 1 million streams on Spotify in 2018.
Wow.
So that was a pretty big accomplishment. And I mean, every band has its cycle, and for Westfield, it was a shorter cycle than I would have liked. I think than we all would have liked. But it was a great experience. The record is still here. I mean, you can still dial it up and listen to it. Westfield Massacre's salvation.
And what I love about the album you did, Westfield Massacre, was the fact that, again, you're getting a guy that most people think, okay, he's no longer Quiet Riot or Rat, but he's going to put out an album that sounds kind of like 80s hard rock, and you got anything but that. It was almost full-blown on metal, and that's the thing I love about it. It's kind of maybe a little out of your, I don't know if I want to say out of your comfort zone, but a little out of the direction most people thought you would have taken maybe with your next project.
For sure. I mean, it's interesting because one of the guys in the band, he felt like that was maybe not a good thing for me. He's like, oh, you're coming from these 80s bands, Guns N' Roses, Quiet Riot and Rat, that's like not the new sound. And it's like, what a lot of people don't realize is that that's the foundation of modern metal. If it weren't for these bands, then the modern metal that we listen to today might not exist.
And then and I dare say that any of those guys that were in the band with you, that if you go on any of their websites or Facebook pages or anything, I'm sure a lot of that stuff is what influenced them and that they grew up on. So to all of a sudden say we're only going to pay attention to the modern scene and kind of forget the stuff we grew up on is kind of silly to me.
I mean, totally. It's hard, but that's maybe just a lack of experience.
Yeah.
And I think eventually you come to appreciate that every new thing has its roots somewhere in history. So you can't ignore the history. Especially when it comes to art.
Yeah.
And you gotta look at we're all standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
Right.
And
somewhere along the line, somebody influenced somebody that influenced somebody else, and we're all standing on the shoulders of the greats. So it was a cool experience for me just to use that experience and put it into something fresh and new. And I think that we created something that's timeless.
And it's kind of funny to hear you say that because that's kind of the thought that's popping in my mind right now as we're speaking. I mean, first of all, like you said, you look at the numbers you got on that debut album, and what a way to go. If that's going to be the only product you guys put out is with this lineup of a band or whatever, or a band's going to cease to exist from this point on. What a statement you made with it. I mean, it's things I think legends are made of in the sense that just think maybe 5 years down the line from now, from the time we're having this conversation, somebody's going to pick up at that album and they're going to say, this was a great little band, or I wish I could have been there when these guys were out there touring behind this, or look at the music video, man, that looked like something you would have seen on Headbangers Ball back in the day.
Totally, man. I get that too. In the back of my mind, I'm always kind of wondering. I'm like, man, wouldn't that be cool if someone just discovered this and it made some kind of weird viral comeback?
Yeah.
And it just kind of forced everybody to reassess their priorities and bury the hatchet and get back together and do a real tour or something.
Yeah.
That would be so awesome. That's like the dream come true, like the fairy tale story.
Yeah.
Because I totally believe in the music that we made, and I think that whatever differences we all parted with, it's small compared to what could happen if the music were to actually see its full potential reached.
Now, in regard to Westfield Massacre, do you guys have any extra tracks laying around that didn't make it onto the album that you were saving for future use?
No, we used all of them.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. The guys had been working on creating the music for the record while they were still working with Tommy.
Wow.
And Tommy was simultaneously working on the first Bad Wolves record.
Oh, wow.
And then he decided to go full steam ahead with Bad Wolves, which was a great decision for him.
Yeah.
And then the Westfield guys decided that they were going to take their music and work with a new singer, being me, and put out their own record. And for a while, there was talk about putting out the record that I did with Westfield with Tommy's vocals on it.
Wow.
It's almost like a replay of the Quiet Riot thing that happened when they replaced my vocals with James Durbin.
Yeah. Hey, now, if you don't mind me touching upon this for a minute in regards to your former bandmate, Frankie Benelli and Quiet Riot. It's kind of ironic if you think about back to the time when you were let go from Quiet Riot, and it's almost comical in a way that when they recently put out their latest studio album with James Durbin, that he made the decision a few weeks before the album came out, I'm leaving Quiet Riot, and then they got Jizzy back in the band now, but it's almost comical that the last two releases, the guy that's singing on the album isn't the guy that's touring with them.
Yeah, you know what? Those guys just can't get it right. And, I've talked enough about this, and I really don't even want to waste any more time.
I was just talking. I'm not talking about your time.
Frankie Benelli's not worth the time.
I got you. We'll just move on from there. Now, I also want to ask you. Okay, in regards since Westfield Massacre is now kind of a thing of the past. What's your next step? You think you're at the point where you want to start your own band? You want to have a solo career? I mean, are you more of a band guy? Would you rather kind of have a band, or would you rather have a kind of solo career where you can kind of be in control of everything?
Oh, that's a great question. I've been down the solo road. Don't particularly care for it much.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I really thrive on collaboration, and I feel like that's when things can really happen, is when you put multiple talented people into a project together, and I'm always looking for that. So right now I'm doing pretty much the same thing I've always done. I'm just tooling up for the next project.
Oh, okay.
And right now, and for the last several months, I've been building my new music production studio that will be ready in January of 2020.
Wow.
And it's awesome. It's nearly 1,000 square feet. It's got a fully acoustically treated mixing and tracking area, so that the sonic balance is perfect for mixing and tracking. And I'm running Pro Tools HD with a 24-channel Icon control surface.
Wow.
It's a hybrid system. It's got the best of Pro Tools and analog summing with like Neve and API and Universal Audio, and Summit, Manley, Dangerous, Neumann, Sennheiser, AKG. I mean, all the awesome gear that you could ever wish to have in a commercial grade facility. I've got all that stuff right at my fingertips in my own personal facility.
Oh, how cool is that?
So it's great, and I'm going to be using my studio to do a number of things. I mean, I'm looking for collaborators to work on original music. B, I'm looking for projects to produce and engineer and mix. And, C, I'm just kind of keeping that one as a wild card because I'm pretty much open to anything. I mean, I'm getting a lot more into movie soundtracks, film scoring, music licensing, things like that, other ways to
it's
make
amazing.
Money with music.
I mean, it's amazing at how much money you can make doing that stuff if you make the right contacts on that. I mean, one of the guys, I don't know if you know who he is, Adam Hamilton, he used to be the bass player in LA Guns briefly. He's made a lot of money like doing production work, like producing guys like William Shatner. He does a lot of soundtrack work and writes with a lot of people for soundtrack type projects, and it's amazing that a lot of people can make money a lot faster that way than like going on touring with a band or something. It's much easier to make money doing projects like that these days.
Totally, and it's a natural progression. I think if you've got an inclination toward the equipment, and like I've been doing this my whole life. Like I grew up in a recording studio, so it's just like second nature to me. So I can't imagine not doing that.
Yeah.
And I get hit up by people all the time, like, hey man, when are you going to be on tour? When's your next show, dude? Yeah. And I love playing live. Don't get me wrong. It's where I started. I've been playing live since I was 15 years old, and I love it. But in reality, like, I actually thrive on being in the studio and that creative environment where anything is possible, and creating new sounds, and creating. It's just real super creative, and it's not so hard on your body. You don't have to be away from your family for so long. It's like, that's why I love just having a facility that's right where I live, and boom, I'm just right in the studio. I don't have to go anywhere. I can just get in there and make the magic happen without having to get run down on the road, be on the bus.
I hear you. Now, if you don't mind me getting a little personal for a minute, also when you were setting up the interview for tonight, the other day, you were also mentioning with me in your personal life the pending fatherhood. Do you mind talking a little bit about that and how excited you must be?
Oh, I'm super excited. I got married in June.
Wow.
And we've got a baby girl on the way, so she'll be here on Christmas.
Oh, what a great way to celebrate Christmas, huh?
Super awesome. I'm really happy. I think I've never been so happy in my entire life. Like, I have everything that I could ever wish for. I bet. A beautiful wife, beautiful family, kids, excellent in-laws, lots of opportunity. I make music for a living. I'm also, I don't know if I told you this or not, but I'm finishing up my master's in business now.
Oh wow! What a great thing to be doing at this time in your life.
Yeah, so that's almost done. I've got one more class to go, and that'll be a wrap. I'll have that MBA.
So you can really you're in the music business, as they say, but you'll have actually a degree to kind of to go along with that now.
Totally. Yeah, and I'm using it. I use it every day. I'm using it to put everything together and just make decisions.
I'm sure a guy that's been around as long as you have, Sean, that you kind of mentioned at the top interview, you must always be getting calls and calls for auditions or people who want you to join their band? I imagine.
I mean, it comes in waves.
Yeah.
I think that I'm still on the radar for quite a few people, and it's always nice to get a call, even if I'm not the right guy for the job.
Yeah.
I always appreciate the call.
Yeah.
And so I'm always keeping the door open for anything out there because I truly believe in the power of collaboration, and I'm always looking for not like-minded, but just motivated people to collaborate with. You know, I think when you bring together different styles, different backgrounds, it produces something interesting and cool.
I mean, people might be interested to learn. I mean, you take a band like Motley Crue, and unless you're a diehard fan and you read the liner notes and stuff, a lot of Motley Crue fans may be surprised to learn that it wasn't Vince Neil who wrote all those Motley Crue songs. It was Nikki Sixx and Mick Mars. You know.
Yeah, I mean the behind the scenes, all the stuff that goes down to make the records happen.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. I mean, it's never what it seems. You know, it's like you watch the video and it looks like one thing, but when you're behind the scenes and figuring out how to make things from scratch, it's a whole different.
I mean, Motley Crue is a perfect band to kind of point that out because I mean, like most people, like you said, you look at the videos and you think, oh, Vince is the one singing the song, so obviously he wrote the lyrics. But when you stop and think, no, it was Nicky and Mick that wrote, most of the lyrics, and it's coming out of that guy's mouth,
Yeah, it's great. Well, it's kind of like when you watch TV, you watch the actor, and they say the words, but they didn't write the script, you know?
Yeah.
But, I mean, the music industry goes through waves. I mean, early on, I think it was more common for an artist to write their own music, right? And then you got guys like Clive Davis that came in and changed it up, where he would cherry pick a song and put it with the artist that he felt most appropriate for that song, and then he would create these magical combinations that would make his artist explode. You know, Barry Manilow, Whitney Houston, on and on, Aerosmith, and on and on. And that's become a strong convention in the music industry. And actually, I was listening to an interview, I'm not sure who it was, but was talking about, the prevalence of cover songs these days, especially in rock and roll. It's like, you've got bands just covering songs. It's hard to break out with an original song anymore. We're kind of going back to where it was early on, where it was a normal thing to just cover the standards. And I think when the music industry isn't doing so well, it's easier to lean on a tried and true song that's already made it in the world. It's like, oh, let's just cover that song and put our own little spin on it. We already know it's a good song, so.
And as far as songwriters and covering other people's material go, I mean, that's why you look at shows like American Idol. Okay, you could maybe have the greatest singer they found in years up on that stage, singing a song that was written by maybe 5 other guys in a studio. They're saying, okay, even like someone like Britney Spears. Okay, Britney, this guy's going to write all the songs going to be on the new album. We want you to sing them. Whereas I have a lot more respect for people, if you know what I mean, that write on their own tunes. Like, you take a band like Kiss. Part of the reason Kiss has lasted for over 40 years is, you say what you want about Gene Simmons or Paul Stanley, but they are great songwriters. Look at all those great sounding Kiss tunes that we've heard on the radio for over 40 years. I mean, it's not just Kiss, but any band. In order, I think, to have any kind of success, you got to have the songs. I mean, a lot of times that's why those guys that in those classic rock bands that we're talking about that wrote their own tunes, that's why they were hits, because it came from the artist's heart. They wrote these tunes and it meant something to them, as opposed to somebody just giving them a song to go in the studio and record, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, it's just two different approaches, I think. One, like, I recently watched the documentary on Clive Davis on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
It's a real good kind of primer on the whole, how the back end of the music industry works.
Okay.
He talked about how a lot of artists that he worked with, like, they write their songs, but they're all like album cuts. These are all great album cuts, but he's like, I'm not hearing a hit.
Wow.
So he really was like the founding, like the pioneer of
so he knows
cherry picking a really good song and then saying, hey, you know what? If you guys did this song, then you guys would have a hit, and then your other songs that are your album tracks, those, people that love you, they'll get into those songs, but this song will put you on the map. This song, we can make this a hit at radio or whatever. So that's like a pretty common practice now.
Yeah.
And I don't like the idea that it has to be that way.
Yeah.
I think that there are artists that can write their own songs that can be total hits.
Yeah, yeah.
So to just automatically assume, like, okay, the minute we sign an artist, we have to automatically give them a song to sing.
That's kind of my point. Is like I think it's good when you give artists a chance to kind of develop and kind of see, okay, yeah, we see you guys are having trouble writing, hit songs, so maybe we'll bring in somebody to help you. That, as opposed to a lot of this cookie cutter stuff where they don't even give artists a chance. Oh, we're gonna guarantee that you have that you have some success, because we're not just gonna sign you if we don't think you're gonna sell any albums.
Totally. Well, man, it's all about the money.
Yeah.
Who has time to wait around and wait for the band to write a hit?
Yeah.
Artist development. What is that? We don't do that anymore.
And that's the one thing I will say about the internet. In many ways, it's kind of funny because, like, an independent guy like you, I mean, of course, it's great to have a label behind you that has a lot of money. It's going to give you a lot of money, but a lot of artists don't get that. And it used to be back in the day, the only way you could get your music out is if you were on a label. Now you don't even have to have a label. A guy like you that's got his own studio, you can put your own independent release out and release it that way, and then all the whatever money you make goes back into your pockets as opposed to some guy in a suit at the label.
Absolutely, that's the way to do it. In my opinion, that's the way to do it. When we put the Westfield Massacre Salvation album out, I was the CEO of Nerve Strike Records, and we did that entire thing independently. All of our own efforts, just put it out. We got digital distribution worldwide. Run your own website, do your own press, write your own press releases, take your own, hire a photographer, hire a videographer, make some videos,
The internet is
do it on your own.
The internet is a very interesting thing because it's got both, like anything, it's got pros and cons. I was interviewing this guy that I first met him years ago. Must known him for over 10 years. We first met on MySpace before Facebook even existed. And he was telling me, he says, the funny thing is, he goes, when I was back on MySpace, my band was able to get out there and do so much touring. We had great levels of success selling our stuff, going out there on the road anytime we wanted. He goes, we were able to do it independently on our own. But he says, like, if you look at MySpace, it's kind of like a graveyard. Nobody's on there anymore. They tried to copy Facebook and it didn't work. He says, now we got Facebook, and as great as Facebook is promoting the stuff, he goes, now it's become a monetary thing. Now it's become where the people behind Facebook, they want a piece of the pie too. He says, so we're not selling as much stuff as we once did, but I'm still in control, and we still got our little fan base, so we keep the band going. But he was saying, you look at something like Facebook or even YouTube, you put your music on there, but then those outlets, they want to have a piece of it too, and they want to control, and they even got control as far as like, for example, Facebook. He says they kind of control who can see your site, who doesn't get to see it, and stuff like that. Who kind of gets to learn about the band and stuff. So he says it's a very interesting thing, technology.
Yeah, social media is a double-edged sword for sure. I mean, the privacy issues are like probably the biggest problem with social media. But in terms, I loved MySpace, and I don't know how many fans I had for my own band back in the day, but I had like 25,000 fans on MySpace, and it was, what your friend said is absolutely true. I could send a message to all 25,000 of my
that's what he was telling me. That's what he was telling me. And
they could buy tickets to my shows. They could buy my music. They could. I could interactively communicate with them. With Facebook, you're a lot more limited, and it is a monetary thing. They want you to pay for advertising and that kind of thing. But there are ways to still use social media. YouTube is a great outlet. I'd say, like, if there was a runner-up to MySpace for that, YouTube is a real strong contender, because you can put your music up, make videos, that kind of stuff. You can communicate with your followers.
Yeah, that's kind of been
you can send out bulletins and that kind of thing, and you can just use all these tools together to create some kind of a web of communication for your fan base. It's totally possible to do it. I think now, more than any other time in history, as an independent, you can communicate and totally manage your entire career without any need for for a label.
It's interesting. There's
the labels, they obviously have money, and they have the clout to like open up the channels at commercial radio and at like mainstream media outlets and things like that you're never going to gain access to as an independent. But I think the best thing you can do as an independent is just do what you do, get out there and spread the word as much as you can. If something catches on and you get that lucky hit, then you can be sure that the guys from the labels are going to be contacting you, trying to figure out a way to cash in on the action.
And you make a lot of great points. And there's this guy I follow on Facebook. I've interviewed him a number of times on my show. It's a guitar player named Maxwell Carlisle. He's got a great shredder type guy, and he all of a sudden he got huge on YouTube, like you're saying. He's got his own YouTube channel. I mean, he does a lot of instructional stuff. People send guitar pedals and different stuff for him to reviewing that, and he does all kind of great stuff, and it's just amazing that he's blown up. And he said, there was a time where I would have loved to have been invited to NAMM, because I never used to get invited to that stuff, but now because I've become so big on YouTube, I'm always getting offers to make appearances and stuff. And he says it's just amazing the success he's had because of YouTube.
Totally. I mean, look, we have to define success for ourselves, right? Because what does it mean to make it? When do you know that you've made it? It's different for everybody. For some people, they're just happy to play it to get a gig. Holy shit, I played the whiskey, I made it. For some people,
success.
It takes a platinum record. I'll have made it when I get my platinum record, or when I get my 10th platinum record, or when I win a Grammy, or when who knows? So it's all about setting goals.
And you're right.
And celebrating when you reach it, when you achieve something, give yourself a pat on the back and say, hey, you know what? I set out to do something and I did it. You made it to that place. And then you set a new goal and make it to the next goal.
One thing I've always, I got to give you credit for, Seann. I think you're a great, you're a great songwriter. You definitely got that skill to do that. You were mentioning how you love to contribute with people. Have you ever thought of doing a project since you got your own studio, kind of where you contribute with other people, you get together, maybe when you get enough tunes together, you might get together with different people, collaborate. When you got enough songs, kind of put out a CD or something of these different songs, these different collaborations. I think that would be a cool idea, just to see what you could do.
Yeah, totally. I mean, once I'm up and running, come 2020, I think I'm going to be looking to do a lot more stuff like that. Especially with this new facility, because it definitely will be my most professional facility to date. So I'll probably be looking to branch out and do some collaborations with other people that have similar capabilities with their studio, and team up with different writers, producers, performers, instrumentalists, singers. I mean, it's really just wide open. I'm really excited about all the possibilities. Just making new music, exploring different genres, different sounds, just making music that feels good. And it doesn't have to be any particular genre or any...
That was going to be my next question.
Predetermined format.
That's going to be my next question, which is, while you're known as typically a hard rock guy, would you be opposed to, say, Seann Nicols collaborating and doing a disco tune or something like that?
Disco is actually a real big part of even bands like Korn. They use the disco beat. I mean, there's a lot of disco in a lot of heavy music. The answer is I'm absolutely open to it, and I encourage and embrace all different types of styles. Weird stuff. If I could make a polka metal tune, I would love to do something cool like that. That would be a cool.
I really think that'd be a cool type of project. And the reason I bring up disco in that is, again, I mentioned I'm a Kiss fan, and if you go back to 1979 and they put out that song "I Was Made for Loving You." People totally they were in shock when they first heard that. I mean, it's a song I like, and I get behind it. But people still to this day, Kiss did a disco song. But you know what's funny about that? They had a huge success worldwide with that one song. They had a lot of hits. Don't get me wrong. But the guy that co-wrote it with Paul Stanley, Desmond Child, that was his first big hit song that he ever had. And he wasn't heard from for a number of years. And then all of a sudden, he started writing songs with Bon Jovi, Aerosmith, and all kinds of even Rad and a couple others. But he became a huge hit as a songwriter just off that first hit.
Yeah, well, I think crossing over can bring a lot of opportunities. If you can cross over successfully, blend a new style, do something to change it up, and then it might be that missing piece that opens the door for your next collaboration. The music is just a journey. It's an artistic journey. I think what rubs me the wrong way, and probably rubs a lot of people the wrong way, is when they see a band that had a clear identity and they see them just shift gears because they're trying to catch on to some trend, or they're trying to just go with what's happening today. And I think that's where we get the term sellout, because they stop being true to themselves and they just they sacrifice their own identity to do something that they thought might make them money or might get them some more recognition, and then it fails, right? So I think it's important as an artist for me to make sure that when I'm doing something, that I'm doing it because I'm genuinely interested in it, and I like where it's going, and I'm not just doing it because, if I do this, then then I can get my foot in the door, it has to be for the right reasons, I guess is what I'm saying.
Going back to a band we were talking about a little earlier, Motley Crue, that's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with that John Corabi album. I mean, it's a great album. I still love it. And I remember back at the time they thought, okay, Corabi's out of the band, we're going to get Vince back in the band, we're going to be even bigger than ever. And then the first album they put out was that Generation Swine, which it's got some good stuff, but it's not a Motley Crue album either. And it's more like Motley Crue doing 9 Inch Nails, an industrial album. And to me, you put like that one album next to the Corabi album, the Corabi sounds a lot more like a rock album than the Crue album than that Generation Swine. But that's just, to my ears and a lot of other people's ears. But that's a great example of what you're talking about. They were trying to kind of, not only going to have a huge comeback, but we're going to jump on the bandwagon instead of trying to stay true to the Motley Crue sound, like we've always done.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at like Madonna, for instance. She's able to reinvent herself over and over and over again, and she stays with whatever. She sets the trends in a lot of ways, but she's right on trend every single record. And in terms of rock bands, I think U2 was a band that was able to kind of do that. They were able to morph their sound and stay relevant with the commercial trend as it changed. And certain artists, certain bands are able to do that better than others. For me personally, I have a hard time saying, okay, I'm going to do an album that's this genre or this style. That to me is that's hard. I have to kind of start organically with like a seed, if it's a lyric or a riff or a sound or something that just inspires me, and then I go from that sound to the next idea to the next idea, and pretty soon I have a song, and then I have a few songs, and then I've got an album, and then I might have to sift through and say, okay, I've got like 8 songs, but this one doesn't really match with these, and sometimes I have to record like 20 songs just to pare it down to have 10 that sound like they would go together on an album. Because what I'm trying to say is that I don't think when you're being truly just creative and artistic, you're not really, guiding the process. The process is guiding you, and the music tells you what it is. You don't tell the music what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and I think people can tell when you're faking it, and that's, to me, what was so pure about what you did with Westfield Massacre, because I remember the first time I heard that stuff, and I thought, being a Seann Nicols fan, as long as I've been following your career and knowing what you've done before, I was honestly expecting one thing, and I got another. But when I first heard that stuff, it really had a fresh, original sound, and that was my first thought. This guy is not checking it in. He's not faking it. This is coming. You can hear it. I mean, it sounded full blown on metal, great screaming vocals. This guy's not faking it. This is coming from the heart. You can tell he's performing from the heart.
Hell yeah, Jason. That's so good to hear, man. Really, what brings that out of me more than anything else is the group. And when I first joined that band, I was excited to be in the band. I loved the energy. These guys were hungry. They wanted to make it. They were pissed. They were like pissed off that Tommy left them, and they were like, they had something to prove, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like in the band, and it was like, we're gonna fucking do this. Let's do this. And it was like boom, and just you put everything you got into it, and that's the spirit. That's the spirit that you're hearing when you listen to the record. It's just that excitement, that angst, you know, that push to make a statement.
Yeah, and you know, the thing with this too that's cool, like you said, I'm at a point in my career where I'm open to anything. Now at that same time, like if you ever got the angst to go out and perform, you know, could you see yourself like in a few years getting up on stage, and even though you're no longer in the band, maybe performing some of those tunes, you know, if you were to ever like do a one-off solo show or something like that, or you know, other stuff you've done throughout your career?
I'd say anything's possible. I mean, you know, I'll never rule it out. I mean, I know too well not to rule things out, you know, because those can be the best opportunities. It's just we just have to see how it all plays out, right?
Yeah, and I was curious, what do you think about some of those like Vegas shows, like you know, Raiding the Rock Vault? Would you ever be interested in if offer came your way to get up on stage and take part in anything like that?
Yeah, I'd have to look at it at the time, but it sounds cool. I mean, like I said, I'm always looking to get involved with good people. I want to work with creative people that are up to something, that are doing something, that are moving things forward. You know, so if I have an opportunity to be a part of that,
you'll consider it,
and work with people like that on that level, then I'm all for it.
That's great. And now let me ask you, because I got to ask you a few more questions, kind of stuff that's currently going on in the music world. Being that, you know, we were talking about Motley Crue a little today, they recently announced after 4 years, they've decided they're going to get back together, and they're going to go on a tour next summer with Def Leppard, Poison, and Joan Jett's going to be the opening band. And they swore a couple of years ago. I kind of laughed when they announced we're never going to tour again, and if we signed a contract, and if you guys want to sue us, so when we announce we're going to have a comeback, you can sue us. Mick Mars is going to give free tickets away if we do it. Of course, that's all changed now, but I even kind of told myself, yeah, right, you're never going to do anything again. But what do you think about, you know, about the fact that they're back out there?
I think it's great. I think the longer they can play, and there are people that want to come see them play, they should definitely be out there playing. I mean, the whole idea of signing a contract, we're never going to do it again, you know,
that was laughable.
A little bit of a publicity stunt, I think. I mean, you know, there's this supply and demand, and obviously if you sign a contract, hey, we're never going to do it again, then everybody thinks this is it. And then people that may not have gone out to see them will then go out and buy the ticket and show up at the concert. So it's a way to motivate people to get their ass out there and see the show.
And the funny thing about it is, like we were talking about doing things from the heart, I really think you know, it seems like this is something that's really being done from the heart, in the sense that, you know, 4 years ago when they did play the final show, shortly after they put out a DVD of the last show they did in Los Angeles, and on the DVD, Nikki Sixx is actually talking about, you know, I played with these guys for over 30 years, and at one point we were really close, we were like brothers. We live down the street now, we hardly see each other, and I'll probably never see these guys again. And then after they put out the movie and they had all that success, Nicky was saying, you know, especially him and Tommy and Vince, he says we're actually getting really close again, and we discovered we actually missed each other, and he was telling people that's actually why we got back together. We miss seeing each other.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, when you're in a band, it's like it's a family. You know, you can't help but become a family, and as dysfunctional as it can be at times, I think you can love each other and hate each other at the same time, you know, and that's what keeps it exciting. That's what keeps it real. So the fact that they're able to reconnect through all their different struggles and challenges and the journey that they're on, you know, it's cool. I mean, what could be more exciting than, you know, coming together with these guys that, you know, you change the world with, you know?
And you know, Nikki Sixx being the PR genius that he is, I'm kind of surprised, you know, he said this thing about, we blew up a contract. What a great PR stunt that would have been, to not only get up and announce the band's back together, you're going to be going out on this big tour, but in front of the you know, the press people, have a video of them blowing up their contract. That's when they should have done it.
Totally. Totally. It's just like, hey, they get to write their own rules, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they wrote the contract. They can break the contract, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's cool. I think it's fun, and
it almost,
rock and roll has to be fun to some extent. It can't be so serious all the time.
Yeah, it was almost laughable to me 4 years ago when they put that thing out. We're never going to tour again. You guys, and that's what is actually the biggest joke since they made the announcement. You actually got people going online and making comments about how dare these guys get back together. They swore they were not going to be like Kiss. And the Who, they swore they would never get back together. And Mick Mars, he said he would get free tickets. We're strongly considering suing Mick Mars because he's taking that statement back. I mean, what a joke. I mean, you guys aren't, if that's what you're talking about, you guys really aren't Motley Crue fans to me.
I mean, hey, I think for them, as long as people are talking about them, they're happy.
And that's the one thing I heard.
If someone cares enough to get online and say something bad about them, or then obviously they care enough, right?
And that's the one thing I heard Nicky say several years ago in an interview. He was saying, he goes, that's why I'm Shout at the Devil. Like when we had Too Fast for Love a few years before, people thought we were one thing, and then Shout at the Devil we went totally dark. He goes, we decided to, just put all that red makeup on. It looked like we had blood coming down, and we got real dark just so for no other reason than people would be talking about it.
Totally. I mean, you got to keep people on their toes. You don't want to be predictable.
Yeah.
If you just put out your next album and it's basically a rehash of the last album and the one before that, I mean, what's interesting about that?
And as far as other bands on that package, I mean, I'm a huge Poison fan, I'll admit it. I'm a huge Def Leppard fan. I mean, Poison's another band that over the years, they got a lot of flack. But kind of like their heroes, Kiss, before them, I mean, look at all the hits they got. I mean, Poison's at the point of their career, they don't even tour every year. It's been several years since they put out any new music. But they're able to go out, just in the summer usually, for 3 or 4 months, and make bank just on the catalog of music they got.
They've got a great catalog. Those are great songs. And people love those songs. And the spirit of the show really brings people together. And
that's the thing I love about...
People want that. And it's funny because I was building some acoustic treatments in my studio I don't know, 2 weeks ago. And I threw on some Def Leppard and I was listening to some of their hits. And man, what a great band. Just one great song after another. And it was interesting, though, with their earlier stuff, you can really hear the AC/DC influence.
Part of a reason for that is working with Mutt Lange.
Working with Mutt Lange, and it's weird because when I was at Home Depot picking up some materials, and I heard Shania Twain, and you can kind of hear some of that Def Leppard coming through in Shania Twain.
And of course, not only did he also work with her, but he was married to her for a brief while.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the whole story is it's great. I love how he was able to work with these mega rock groups and then translate that into something as fresh and poppy and commercial as Shania Twain is amazing.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about that part of his story is when he was with Shania Twain, he decided he was going to go all country and do nothing but produce her stuff and maybe other country artists. I don't know if he ever did that, so that's another guy that's hugely talented at what he does, And then, like you said, Def Leppard. You can never go wrong with Def Leppard. But Poison, the thing I love about them, besides the great catalog of music they got, is they even gave themselves the title, Poison. We're the Glam Slam Metal Kings. They are not ashamed of their past. They're not ashamed of where they came from. They're not ashamed of who or what they are. They just are that.
Well, yeah, I mean, how could they be ashamed? I mean, they're one of the most successful bands of that era, and it is what it is.
I mean,
it was what it was, and it is what it is, and love it or hate it, it happened. And they were successful, and it's cool to see them still doing something that people care about. I
mean, you get these haters of it just talk such trash about those guys, and then, like you said, how can you argue with the success they continue to have,
Yeah, I mean, it's just let people live, let people have fun. I mean, these guys were fortunate enough to organize themselves in a way that produced something that people really like, and and people get to relive their past. When every time they go to the concert, they can remember where they were the first time they heard that song and how it made them feel when they bought the cassette or the record or whatever format they bought it on, you know. And then there's a whole new generation of people that are being exposed to that. You know, these people's kids are going to the concerts with them. You get parents and kids going to concerts together and, you know, experiencing that together. It's awesome. I mean, that's what keeps it alive, and we need that to keep happening so that we have a future for music.
Yeah, and
so
you know,
we can keep doing what we do.
Yeah, and I know you're very busy tonight, Seann. I appreciate you talking to us tonight and taking time out of your schedule. Before we wrap this up, though, one more topic I want to kind of discuss with you, get your thoughts on, is for Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, it's a very controversial topic, but for example, they usually seem to have some kind of controversy once a year when they decide who they're going to induct. Now, for example, there was talk that they might induct Motley Crue, but they didn't even get on the ballot. But now, finally, for the first time, Motorhead got on the ballot. But it was initially announced that they were going to only induct Lemmy, of course, has passed away, and the other original members who are all dead. But they weren't going to induct like Phil Campbell, the guitar player, Mickey D, the drummer, that's been in the band like the last 20 years. And because they finally got so much backlash from fans, they finally decided, okay, you know, we'll induct them too.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't been keeping up on that story, but I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is like, Lemmy is an incredible songwriter.
Yeah.
We're talking about a guy who wrote songs for so many other bands.
Well,
if I'm not mistaken, I believe he wrote songs for Heart and
even Ozzy Osbourne. Like he wrote,
Ozzy, yeah. I mean, you could help me out here. I know that it's a long list, but I mean, that guy was a prolific songwriter, and what a contribution he made to the entire genre. I mean, he wrote so many great songs. How could he not be inducted into the Hall of Fame? You know.
I mean,
and I think Motley Crue, they're facing maybe a similar hurdle as Kiss with getting inducted. You know, is that there was so much showmanship and so much glamour and glitz, you know, packaging their music that maybe it's, you know, I don't know, maybe that's kind of overshadowing their musical contributions to some degree. I'm not saying that it is, but
that's
it seems that that's how the Hall of Fame rolls. It seems like they kind of ding you for being overly image-based.
And it's kind of funny because a band like Kiss, again, they've been around for over 40 years now, and they never were on the cover of Rolling Stone until the year they got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Just think about that for a minute, you know? And that's kind of amazing. It's also funny, you look at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they do stuff like where, like, you take a band like Deep Purple, okay, well, we're going to induct these guys, but this guy had only played on one album. We're not going to honor him because nobody knows who he is. But this one guy that he wrote one song with this band, so he's a songwriter. So we're going to induct him. It's just even like Metallica, they honored everybody who was ever in the band. But when Kiss got inducted, we're going to only induct the original 4.
Well, I think they're trying to keep it as exclusive as they can. You know, the more people you let into the club, the less special it is, right?
I guess that's a point to be made. I never thought of.
So, I mean, they have to think about their branding as well. They have to think about what the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is and what makes it special. So, I mean, I don't agree with any of it necessarily, but I don't disagree with it either.
I hear you.
They got to do. I think the controversy is probably one of the reasons why they do it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good point to be made. See, you just made me think about stuff I never even thought about. So, thanks for that. Now, final question for tonight, Seann Nicols. You've been talking a little bit about you have this great recording studio. So, final question in regards to that is, do you have an official website for that up? Do you have an official name for the studio yet, or is that something you're in the process of?
It's a great question. I don't have the website built yet, but people can email me at SeannNicols@gmail.com. I mean, I get emails there, and that's the best way to get in touch with me is just through my email. You can always Google me and find me and just type my name exactly the way it's spelled with 2 N's. And at gmail.com, and hit me up and let me know what you want to talk about.
I
got all kinds of things brewing. So.
Yeah, I know I said it was going to be a final question. This is a real final question because you just made a great point in regards to your name. You've gone, you're known by quite a few names. Like you used to go by Tarsh, you used to go by Sheldon Tarsha, now you go by Seann Nicols. Do you find that a lot of people forget Seann Nicols, is he the same guy that used to do this, or you have a lot of trouble people confusing?
You saved this for the last question, Jason. This could open up a whole new can of worms.
Well, I thought it'd be a great, as I was talking to you, I thought this would be kind of a great way to end an interview, just in case people were wondering.
No, it's a great question, and the reason I changed my name is it has a lot to do with music, and it has a lot to do with art and creativity, but basically I found a concept that I subscribe to that says that language and letters in particular are like musical notes, and that when you put certain notes together, they create chords, and they're either in tune or in key, or they can be discordant and cause be like discordant, right? Yeah. So I found that the name that I was given by my parents, it wasn't working for me, and when I analyzed it on a theoretical level, I found that it actually wasn't in tune with who I am and what I want to do with my life.
It's kind of interesting you make this point, and I'll tell you why. Because I remember when I previously interviewed you once before, and we were talking back and forth through the email. Because again, like a lot of people, I just thought, okay, Seann Nicols, either S-H-A-N or S-H-A, and then you told me no, it's two N's, and I think that's a very smart move on your point, because it does. Now that I think about it, it does make you kind of stand out because it's not the typical spellings,
Yeah, it's definitely weird, and I'm constantly spelling my name for people. I have to spell my first and my last name. It's Seann-Nicols, and so the three N's all strung together. It throws off probably about 60 or 70% of the people.
Yeah, and I hope you don't.
My email address, they leave out one of the N's.
Yeah, I have jokingly brought up, I hope you don't mind, and the reason is, now that I talk to you, it does make perfect sense, because I even caught myself I'm sitting there looking at the Facebook page. It's got it right there and then. I don't know if it was just out of habit when I'm typing back to you. Hey, Sean. No, it's got two N's. Hey, man. Yeah, it's right in front of me. What am I thinking? But I'm not paying attention.
Well, it kind of makes you stop and think, right? You're like, oh no, I'm talking to Sean with two N's. Nicols with no H.
And I think you've been successful there for a simple reason. Not that you just kind of explained to everybody over there during the interview now, but as we wrap it up, but it really got me thinking that, and that I paid so much attention to. I'm like, hey, man, what are you looking? It's right in front of you. What made you think it was only one N? It teaches you that people don't always pay attention like they think they do.
Well, you know what? I think that's more and more true as we get deeper and deeper into the digital age. I think there's a lot of people are just checking out, not really paying attention, and no damage on you at all. I'm just saying, in general, none of us pay attention.
But I mean, it's funny. It's funny to hear you say, you kind of tell me this story, and I'm like, that makes sense. Yeah, I can kind of relate. Yeah, I mean, I caught myself doing this a number of times when I was talking to you.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the story. I mean, the way my name and the way it's spelled, it just works out in such a way where the letters, the vowels, the consonants, they all work together to create my song. It's my chord, and
it definitely works. It definitely works for you. I can say that now.